Well, hello there, and welcome to another edition of Warbird Wednesday. My name is Fred Bell. I am the Vice Chairman of the Palm Springs Air Museum. Today, I am in headgear that actually maybe fits the airplane I'm going to talk about. Although I was telling Greg it's kind of a little claustrophobic in my book, but it is apropos for what we're going to talk about. The last of the Dark Star related airplanes and rockets, and this one you could argue is maybe a rocket or a manned rocket or an airplane. I'm going to get comments on this. Talking about the North American, the X-15 project, a hypersonic aircraft. Now, my Pawkey assistant today has donned me in really, again, warm and claustrophobic headgear. I go ahead and get that. Oh, that was fun, Greg. There we go. Oh, nice catch by the Kenny. And you'll notice today that I am not in one of those incredible pieces. I'm not togged in a Palm Springs Air Museum shirt, because today I think I want to salute all the people that have done all this work on all these high-speed airplanes, and I am in my JPL shirt. I was lucky enough to be able to actually do a tour there. It was just absolutely amazing. They have all the little the mock-ups, and then you can go in and look at where they build the satellites and all that kind of stuff. So for a geek like me, it was a lot of fun. So Jet Propulsion Laboratory, giving you a shout out today. Thank you, all you folks, for what you do over there. And obviously, we're going to touch on a lot of the very early stuff that was done. This is suborbital type stuff. We're going to talk about that a little bit. And we're talking about the X-15. Now, to the unassuming eye, the X-15 looks like basically a lawn dart, doesn't it? I mean, it is a pure, I'll throw that up so you can get a plan view, pure ballistic shape. Now, when we talk about the right stuff, and folks that were working out on the ragged edge of all of this stuff in aviation and in spaceflight, this is right up there with it. The first flight was in June of 1959. There were 3 of them built. One of them was crashed and subsequently rebuilt. They were retired in 1968. The highest speed that this aircraft ever went was 4,520 miles an hour, or Mach 6.7. That was in October of 1967 at 102,000 feet with William Pete Knight did that. By the way, that record has never been broken. And if I'm wrong, you can tell me in the comment section, but my understanding is it's never been broken. There were 12 this was completely a test bed aircraft. They were testing high speeds and what would happen on control and propulsion and the alloys and everything that went into it. There were 12 pilots who flew 199 flights in this thing over that time period from 59 to 68. 8 pilots flew a combined 13 flights above 50 miles, Greg, if you can believe that. 264,000 feet, and that qualified them as astronauts. Good job, Greg, you got it. The shape and the design was based on a concept from Walter Dornberger. I hope I didn't destroy your name, Walter. He's over at NACA. He came up with the shape. It was originally supposed to be, they're actually going to launch it, or some of the early concepts was it was actually on the top of a rocket, and then eventually it was dropped from a B-52. The fuselage on this rocket or airplane was nickel alloy, and the ejection seat, it had an ejection seat, worked up to Mach 4. So go back to what I said about how fast the fastest flight was, right? And think about that for a second, in that above Mach 4, you're not getting out of this. If it breaks up, you're along for the ride. So they did a lot of really, really cool stuff with this. It had reaction motors that were built, the XLR-11. That put 16,000 pounds of thrust. There were 2 of them in the tail. And then they went up to, now get this, Greg, this is more firepower. They went to an XLR engine, XLR.99 engine that put out 57,000 pounds of thrust. So think about that, a single engine. So they really increased the go-go out of this, as I talk about. Now, the salute today that I want to talk about, I'm going to put this back. The salute today is just straight up. This stuff here, this is where you're going to test things, and you might not come back. The pilots that flew these aircraft, the 12 pilots that flew it, there were things where they might never come back. There actually was an aircraft I'm going to talk about in a minute that actually didn't come back. There were some mishaps where they actually lost one, as I said, rebuilt it, but it was all slide rule. Well, if an inch is good, 2 inches are better. But these folks were double tough, and they were amazing, both aviators and scientists. So if you were involved in the North American X-15 program, I want to salute you. And today, we got a fizz out of this. I'm going to salute you with justice is coming, but I don't get that. Tombstone sarsaparilla is here. Did you pick this up in Tombstone? You did pick it up in Tombstone. Were you there? Oh, Greg, you're always thinking of me. Creative ways to poison me. Root beer of the West. Let's see. Total carbs. There is some sugar in it. This just looks. Tombstone is also known as the town too tough to die. Too tough to die. So, Greg, this soda looks like it was bottled in someone's backyard. I'm a little bit more concerned about this. That you bought it on the road makes me a little more concerned. But again, if you were involved in the North American X-15 program, just like JPL and all these other folks that were involved in these things, you are just on the cutting edge of this stuff, and you have my respect, and I salute you. It's not terrible. Oh, Greg's smiling. It's not terrible, but it doesn't have a good finish. Mandatory second step. You got 2, almost 3. Yeah, that's just not. I mean, it's not like some of the stuff you've given me, which is parts cleaner, but it's not something I would drink. So the X-15. There were some other interesting things about it. The tail was very interesting. They would actually eject the lower portion of the tail, and there'd be a skid that would come out on it. It didn't have wheels, it had skids. And they would eject that. Sometimes they have a skid come out. Other times they'd eject it and they'd have a different clearance thing. They could change the configuration just a little bit. And then the other thing was this wedge tail. And the wedge tail on this was designed to create a ton of drag. You can kind of see how it turns to a wedge across the top. The reason for that was to give it more drag, and this was just basically, it's going so fast, they wanted controllability in the wind, right? So you want as much mass as you can out there. This thing created so much drag or air resistance, it had the same drag as an F-104 starfighter for the entire airplane. So it created a ton of drag when it was up there, but it was badly needed for controllability requirements. Now, in November 1967, Major Michael J. Adams, his aircraft broke up at 60,000 feet over at Johannesburg, which I've actually been there. And the monument, there was a monument erected in 2004. I encourage you, one of the things we should always remember with these folks, and I go to those monuments, I don't know if some of you do that, but I think it's important, much to the chagrin of dragging the wife and small children through the desert to go look at a monument, but I think it's important to not let these folks be forgotten. That's way out of the way in Johannesburg, but if you get a chance, go out there. I always leave a couple of coins for the boatmen, so to speak, which some of you will know what that is, for the river crossing as they pass on. but I think it's very, very important that we show our respect. So this is a key aircraft, and what we're talking, there's a lot of things being made about hypersonic missiles. Don't think for 1 minute that all the work that went into this airplane isn't going into everything they know about hypersonics. All of the aircraft that we've talked about in this series about this whole Dark Star aircraft, all of those aircraft have contributed to creating these hypersonic designs, and this was a key one. The two aircraft that are left have been retired to museums. One is at the Smithsonian, which I think is being remodeled, and you can't see this airplane, the one actually on the mall, not out at Uberhazy. And the other one's at the Air Force Museum in the experimental section, unless they've moved it. That's where it was the last time. But if you get a chance, go see these airplanes. Now, if you have a little future aviator at home, or my Pawkey assistant who is in the coloring books, you can go out on our website and pick up this really cool coloring book. It's got all kinds of neat airplanes in it. It's suitable for grade level, including the X-15, so it's very, very cool. Oh, look, there's even a stealth on the back. Isn't that nice? So we could cover everything with that. So get out to our webpage and pick that up. Now, if you come across us, we cannot do all of this, and I'm standing in the stealth hangar in front of a GE 404 engine, by the way, a Hornet engine. If you were wondering what that was, we cannot do all of this without your donation. So click on that link on the video, give us a few bucks. We can certainly appreciate that. We need it. As I said, get out and get that merchandise. If you come across us on YouTube, all we do are long-form military aircraft videos. We've got a bunch of them up there. We cover all kinds of stuff. Go out and check that out. Give us a subscription. If you know of somebody who likes this stuff, and again, we do it in one take. We come in, we bang it out, but we try to give you useful information. Forward it to those folks and give us a subscription. We would really appreciate that. If you come across us on Facebook, like us on Facebook and leave us a comment. My name is Fred Bell. I am the Vice Chairman of the Palm Springs Air Museum. Thanks so much. Have a great day.